Mrs. Green Apple, despite what this picture might look like, that's not Mrs. Green Apple. You know that's not Mrs. Green Apple. But we're here to check out the next song from our track-by-track listen through to the album Ensemble. And we are on to track 2 because we're only just starting. This song is called Party. It has a full music video. Again, it's quite long. I'm really quite surprised by how long a lot of the songs are on this album, which really makes me think that this is them going all out on this. But anyway, as mentioned, the previous song, the song that started off this album, Love Me, Love You, was one that actually flew by surprisingly quickly, which to me is always a sign of really good songwriting. But I'm interested to see what vibe is Party going to go in? Is it going to be Party in the sense that Love Me, Love You was, kind of like a funky party? Or are we going to go high energy party? Or is it an ironic name? Anyway, as usual, I'll be rating it both as a song. I'll be thinking about how it continues the flow of this album as we listen to it as a track-by-track listen through. And also I'm going to hopefully get a bit of a laugh from the video because, I don't know, just everything about this opening frame. This could go any which way. I have never invited this guy to my party, but hey, he could be a party animal. Let's find out together as we check out Party by Mrs. Green Apple. Is my sound on? My sound is on, okay. There it is. Okay, we're going in a weird direction. Oh? That was a surprise song. Okay. This is a very strange video. I haven't quite got the feel of it yet. Again, loving the layering of sounds. It's suddenly become like a campfire song. That percussion is amazing. Oh, I thought I changed to 3/4 for a second. Just a quick chord change. Again, listen to the interesting sound though. There's a lot of very interesting instrument sounds being used and experimented with. Okay. I still can enjoy these room changes as weird as they are. Something very dry and low echo sound. I feel like there's a story in the video I should be following, but I don't have it. Oh, they love these pauses, don't they? Wait, you already did that. Oh, it's a flashback. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, someone explain the music video story to me. Yeah, get the harpsichord in there, why not? Oh, wow. Yeah, there is so much to talk about in this one. So much to talk about in this one, but I'm just going to start with one quick thing to say. First of all, this is one of the reasons why sometimes people ask me why sometimes I'll do a reaction to a new song, the audio separately from the music video. I did that with the brand new Spider-Man song that they just released the other day. And people were asking, why did you do the audio before the video? And this is one of the reasons, because sometimes you get a video, especially when you know there's going to be a lot of thematic stuff in it, and there is so much on screen that when you're concentrating on the song, you maybe are missing a lot of plot points. This video, I don't know whether it was just art house gone crazy or whether there was actually a plot I was supposed to be following, but I don't know. All I know is that the images were really really funny, and I enjoyed that. But let's get into the song. Okay, on a purely musical level, first of all, I have to say this song kind of has two factors to it. If you look at it just as the way it's written, the melodies, all of those aspects, the performance, obviously it's performed brilliantly like their songs always do. Omori's voice is great, as it always is, and the song definitely follows that structure that I sometimes talk about when we're talking about the singles from Mrs. Green Apple. Not all of them, but there is a certain comfortable style of writing that they go to, certain comfortable scales, certain comfortable ways of resolving chord patterns that definitely are very prevalent in the, if you like, the signature Mrs. Green Apple singles, and this is one of those in a lot of ways. But what makes this interesting in the second aspect, because that's not a bad thing, that's fine, it's them just kind of doing their sound. What makes this really interesting though is that they have played a lot here with that additional aspect that I know is such a fantastic part of Mrs. Green Apple's sound, which is the playing with instruments and tones and doing other things to add a very unique tonality to this song. I was really caught by how many changes the balance and timbre of the sound went through, and it's kind of interesting because automatically I want to credit Omori with this once again. I know he's the producer, the writer, the mastermind behind so much of what they do, but I must say, just while we are looking at them as a 5-piece on this album, I do also know that even when you have someone who's the mastermind behind the songs, we almost always, when talking about Mrs. Green Apple in the comments and everything, we talk about Omori. Every time we talk about Omori. But I have to say, when you've got this many musicians in a band, I can't help but feel like I'm sure they must have had some input to some of the amazing sounds we hear in this. I mean, right down to the keyboards sounds that come through to today in their most recent songs, but obviously the drum stuff in this as well. The drum sound in this, outside of the production, there was some just fantastic bits where you could really hear some interesting layers of very different drum sounds. I mean, the chorus was quite interesting. Like, I think it was around here, the tone of the drums, you had this very kind of, it just felt like a very percussive kind of, I couldn't almost pick it out. It was like somewhere between, there was some kind of cajon / tabla thing going on. There was just this strange layering. And then you got like that very, oh yeah, well you have got like a big sort of, I mean that could just be for effect, but you know, you've got the big, it's not a bongo, that big drum, that thing that she's playing with her hands there. You have the clashing kind of metal tambourine-esque sound, which these are all things that if you go into a percussion store, or if you know someone who's a drummer who's got a lot of equipment they'll bring out for recordings, if you go to a studio especially, you'll often open a cupboard and there'll be loads of these kinds of percussive instruments. It just feels like she's playing with so many of them in this bit, and you listen to the sound, it's so unique and yet so charging. I'm just back on the drum kit there. And you also see a bit of double bass as well, which I know probably didn't appear in the song, but you got that, you got the accordion here. How many of these sounds are just for the music video? It's a little bit hard for me to 100% pick it out, if I'm honest with you. This is probably actually, I will just quickly say as an aside, this is probably not the most clean and well balanced recording I've ever heard from Mrs. Green Apple. The mixing does sound a bit muddy, but I'll put that to one side. But I will say that there's a lot of sounds in here that maybe, really, I might even be missing some of the cool things in here. There's so many. But we got that. And then furthermore, on top of that, there were some really cool bits in the verses. Like if you listen to this part. You've got those like digital sounding synths maybe coming off a guitar pedal along with this chilled out string. You got that, and then earlier in the song, I think it was around here, we had some rather interesting moments. I love that. And then at the same time in the background, you've got that sort of big stomping kind of beat, which is kind of quite common in a lot of Western pop music of recent as well. But I just like how that's in here, but not in the rest of the song. Just the way the song goes through all these different sounds and it cycles through them and keeps them going. Yes, that is again one of those quintessential Mrs. Green Apple qualities, but I think this song kind of does it even more than most. And then you get to this bit and it just kind of goes full on with the rock. You listen to all the sounds, you listen to like the reverb, almost everything in recording has a little bit of reverb put on it to make it sound a bit more natural, because studio recordings tend to be recorded so precisely and so up close to get the sound perfect that obviously it can make it sound a little bit dead and clinical. So you tend to put a little bit of reverb on things just naturally, just to give them a bit more of a lively feeling. But here you can hear how in this rock bit everything's kind of drawn back and it sounds really close to the ear, so everything's got a bit of punch. And so for me, it's just like this range of sounds going through there. Yeah, you got Omari's production, but you've also got so many sounds that I can't just avoid the feeling that the band must have been in a studio playing around with sounds and just going, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that. I mean, just by the very nature of them being musicians, I can only imagine that as a 5-piece, this must have been a lot of fun, them all playing together and putting things together. And yeah, I still don't get the storyline for the music video. Look, honestly, this was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed this, actually. I thought this was very characterful. I will stand by what I said, that I think this is one of those songs where if you're already a fan of the Mrs. Green Apple sound, then this is going to be a song you're going to really enjoy. I don't think if you'd heard Mrs. Green Apple singles before and they hadn't won you over, this is not the sort of song that would change your mind. It does very much play towards the strengths we already know they have. And yet at the same time, yeah, I just feel like it is a really good example of that. It has enough fresh ideas to make it sound fresh and original. And of course, singles, music videos, that's the exact place where you would expect a song that more projects what the band is naturally good at than necessarily takes them into some big experimental direction. So I thought that this was a really good balance of fresh ideas, playfulness, and yet the quintessential Mrs. Green Apple single style of writing. So, yeah, really good one. The album so far has started off with a big, playful sense of wanting to do things sonically a bit different. We've gone back towards, at least in these two songs, the slightly more, should we say, live-sounding sounds, whereas the previous album was much more digital focused. I did say that the self-entitled album to me really gave the impression of a band who'd started playing with production. That felt like the first time you could really feel Omari playing with production size and doing digital things. And maybe this album, as I had predicted, is him getting a little bit more confident and sort of rolling that back and doing different things. Now, of course, the next song, Wanted, Wanted, I've already done a reaction to this. And this song I know is much more kind of like a dance pop song. I actually think, from what I remember of the comments, I think I enjoyed this more than a lot of other people did. It was very simple, very rudimentary, but I thought it was extremely effective. And now I know that it follows the two songs we've just had, which have been delicate, playful, big sounding, but still full of these delicate live instrument sounds. That makes much more sense as the third song. You can imagine, start off with something kind of jazzy and funky, then goes to something big and bombastic like a carnival of sounds, then go to your like impactful, straightforward but punchy kind of dance pop song. So next one I'll be doing in this series will be, well, Aufheben. Aufheben? Aufheben. What's Aufheben? Heaven for someone called Alf? Who is Alf? We'll find out together. But anyway, look, I'm dying of this cough, but sorry. Thank you. So it's one of those things, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say you've got a cough, you will cough. It's like if you see someone yawn. Now I'm thinking about yawning, I'm going to yawn, so I'm not... So anyway, god damn, it's really powerful. So I will see you in the next videos. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think about this song, and let me know if you know what the storyline of the video was. And until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.